Hi everyone, I'm Rachel Fellows and I'm going to be talking through Quora and Reddit and how maybe you might want to consider using that to boosting your marketing mix. And just an update, my puppy Milo has eaten through his bed, he's eaten through several jumpers and through a fence panel just today. So I'm looking forward to that when I get home. So Quora and Reddit, or the space between the gorilla's toes, which this metaphor will persist throughout this presentation, so get ready for that. So I'm going to be talking through, as in that introduction, how we tested it for one of our clients, what we found, and why you might want to consider using these channels. So just a little bit about me. I love the new Barbie meme generator, so I, of course, have used that. I'm a bad Barbie business bitch. I've been a marketeer for around 10 years now, both in-house and agency, and in a range of different industries and verticals, from financial services to SaaS products to commerce as well. So a range here, but now I am mainly in B2B. So at the moment, being a marketeer, it's hard. And it's always been hard, but we get challenges year on year, and this year it feels particularly hard. So everyone needs us to be on the ball. They need us to be growing accounts. They need us to be making sure that we're keeping the business flowing as it should. However, budgets are staying the same or reducing. However, according to the HubSpot marketing report this year, some are increasing, which is positive to see, but costs are increasing as well. So it's not necessarily more money to do more stuff, it's kind of keeping up with and keeping afloat with what you have. And also audiences are shrinking as well. And we could have a whole day of talks on how things like TikTok's privacy regulations are coming in. We have things like iOS 17 coming through, and also the EU Digital Services Act, which are all compiling into a shrinking audience, which makes it harder to identify that relevant audience and identify how we can grow there as well. So in the digital landscape, sometimes it can feel like there's not much choice. Your clients or yourselves, if you're in-house, can have their key channels. So sometimes it can feel like Meta, LinkedIn, Google, they're kind of reaching for your attention. They have that space. And I'm not saying that I don't like Meta, LinkedIn, or Google, thank you. But sometimes you can kind of feel like you're being held hostage a little bit by them. And particularly Meta rules supreme. So for example, Facebook, Instagram, and also YouTube as well, very heavy up there. And with the B2B slant on that, LinkedIn definitely holding a lot of those cards. And they're the big hitters, it's great, they're getting you leads, they're getting you awareness, but sometimes it can feel like you're a bit stuck. So it can be expensive. These are just kind of average CPCs for the different platforms in US dollars. For example, one of my clients, they're paying $14, $15 for CPCs in LinkedIn, which is, yeah, can eat a lot of budget. So when you're looking at that kind of spend, it can feel like, okay, these can go up, these can go down. I haven't got a lot of control here. But I still need to keep driving that performance. I still need to get those leads. I still need to be getting those contacts. So how do I reach new audiences when audiences are shrinking and costs are going up? And how do I grow with little budget, or can be with reduced budget? Well, it's time to experiment a little bit. Step outside that box. Try something a little bit new. So why not try two channels such as Quora, which are the question and answer giants, and Reddit, which is a community hub. Both different in their approaches, but have a good audience base that you can target. And you may look at these and think, oh, actually, either they're just US based, which isn't necessarily true, or it's not going to be relevant for me. So, whoa, Rachel, is this going to be right for me? I want to know, should I chuck budget at these channels? Well, test responsibly. Don't come at me next year going, I spent loads of money in Quora and Reddit and it didn't work. Do your due diligence. Look at those audience sizes. Look at the types of audiences you're looking for. But with that caveat, try it. We didn't know necessarily this was going to work. And without trying it, we would never have known. So just to kind of give you a little bit of a flavor of what we did for one of our clients, they were a data storage client. So it wasn't necessarily the most sexiest client to work with, but it was something that we could work with and find those audiences for. So firstly, for Quora, this is what it kind of looks like. Normally, for a sponsored ad, you would have either a static image or just text-based image. It says sponsored. It's very kind of similar to usual platforms you're used to seeing. And then in terms of the platform itself, you will have, it will look like this, and you can subset by topics that you are interested in. So usually with Quora, you would ask a question, and their SEO obviously is very good. So anything that's question-based will flow through to Quora. So if you're looking for specifics, this is a good platform to go with. So who are Quora? They have around 440 million users monthly across the platform. And their targeting, they include topics such as topic targeting, keyword targeting, question targeting. So if you're looking for a specific thing, so for example, I don't know, what's the best fire extinguisher, for example, then you can target that specifically. In terms of the audience, their targeting options include lookalikes, behavioral targeting, interest targeting, all the targeting that you're used to in your other platforms, your larger platforms such as LinkedIn. And Quora, you have to log into. You either log in by Google, email, or you can hook up your Facebook. So they do have a lot of data that sits behind that. The only thing is, in a B2B side of things, you don't have maybe that professional data, but you can kind of segment that data to be relevant. So why potentially would you look at Quora? So their age group is between 25 to 35 on average. That does depend on what your company is advertising for, and the particular topic as well. So particular topics will be relevant to different age groups, but it's not particularly a younger age group tool, whereas Reddit, as you'll see soon, is more of a younger age tool. Around 8 to 10 minutes spent on the platform, which makes sense. They're going there for a reason. They want to find an answer to a thing or answer an answer to a question. And around 3K to 5K questions asked every single month. So there's a lot of content that's happening there and being refreshed. So in terms of the test itself, the objective was to drive traffic to a landing page and to get users to sign up and download a white paper. And from that white paper, they would collect the lead data and contact those leads. The audience, it was topic targeting in particular. So we were targeting data storage topics. And the creative itself was a static image with a little bit of text. So it was the same creative that we were running on LinkedIn, because we didn't really know what was going to work, how it was going to look, and we wanted something to baseline it against. So we tested for a month, and the budget was around 3,000. So what did we find? CPCs generally were a lot cheaper than LinkedIn, a lot cheaper than most other platforms that we were using. It was ridiculously cheap. So that was a nice surprise. And click-through rate was really strong. The users that clicked through were engaged and engaged in the ad. It drove leads, which was fantastic. We did not expect for it to drive the volume of leads that it did, which was fantastic. However, with a caveat, it wasn't necessarily the quality that the client or that we wanted, but that was kind of because it was such a niche area. So there were some people in there that were like retired and things like that on Quora, which wasn't necessarily what we wanted, but there were some quality leads within there. And the targeting was pretty good. It was pretty spot on for what we wanted, bar the odd job title. which with the absence of job data is kind of to be expected. So in terms of the top tips for this one then, you want to try and blend in. So we were testing a static image, but users can smell an ad a mile off. And the image wasn't necessarily given any like answer to question. It was more kind of just brand awareness. So were we to run this again, we would run something that was more just text-based, more of a question, answering a need, answering that user need. Test different topics and streams. So we went in initially very niche to data storage, but actually there were other streams that sprouted from that we could then target that we might not necessarily have thought, oh, okay, that's relevant to us. But actually it looked like it wasn't. So test those different topics, test those different streams. Try question-based targeting. So particularly if you have a product, like a SaaS product, for example, or a specific tool, you could try question targeting, particularly around your FAQs, or if a user is asking a question in Quora about this product, then maybe adapt that. Also try the lookalikes targeting as well. That opens up just a myriad of options there, but I would say start tight and then go broad with that, because there are some erroneous users within that. And also don't sweat the engagement rate. So on Quora you have kind of upvotes, which is like your likes. People don't tend really to engage in that when it's an ad. They just tend to kind of click through, unless it's something very, something that demands an answer, for example. So don't sweat it if you're not seeing lots of engagement on the ad. So test 2 for Reddit. This is what Reddit looks like, for anyone who doesn't know. Very similar to Quora, very similar to other platforms as well. You've normally got your video or your static and your text, and then the bit with the 6 is kind of your upvote, downvote. So, and this is what this looks like in platform as well. It's a constant refreshing feed as well. I seem to get a lot of consultancy, and I don't work in consultancy, but yeah, my feelings are sadness for consultants right now. But there's all sorts of kind of subreddits and sub-communities you can be involved in. You can just kind of view the bits that you want to view. So they have slightly more users than Quora, around 500 million monthly users across the platform. They're targeting really similar as well. You've got your topic, you've got your keyword, you've got your question, but you've also got your community targeting as well, which is really important here. Reddit is all about community. It's all about sharing those common interests and topics and knowledge. So that would be a strong thing to look at. And it is very good in particular to find out how your competitors are doing as well, because they're not shy to slag off people in the comments. So it's definitely worth looking at that. So why advertise on Reddit? So they are likely to be young and male. There's around 2.8 million subreddits, 130 communities, and video is massive on this platform. They watch a lot of native content and video. So it's worth keeping in mind, if you have video assets, it's worth throwing those in the mix. So in terms of the test, we tested exactly the same as Quora. So traffic to the landing page, topic targeting, and the static image for around a month, same budget as well. So what did we find? CPCs we found were on par with the PPC we were running, between £1 and £2. And it was more expensive than Quora, but we did find that they were much more engaged in terms of lead quality. So it does drive clicks, but not necessarily as a high click-through rate as, say, Quora. But the quality was way better in terms of leads. They were much more engaged. They were much more likely to download that white paper and be contacted after the MQL. So that was definitely worth doing. And there are a lot of sub-communities to target. So kind of really similar to Quora, you're seeing branches off for things that you're going, oh, I didn't actually necessarily think that that would be related, but then you can target. It's an untapped part of your audience, an untapped part of the market. So the top tips for this then, and harking back to a similar talk in the previous session, and this does feel like going against all your instincts, keep the targeting broad. So we found that just going after, say, data storage, too niche. There are so many other interests out there and so many other ways you can reach those people that would be interested in your product. So start broad and then bring it in a little bit when you start to see that wastage, which is what we found. So we found that we started small and brought it out. Definitely try different ad assets. So we tried the static, and unfortunately, it did well, but when we tried the video, so much more engagement. You need to know how your audience is reacting and looking on the platform. You need to understand that. Try and blend in, because they can smell an ad, similar on Quora, and they are much more brutal at doing so. So having something that's engaging, having something that is relevant to that subcommittee as well, and definitely timely too, and answering any questions they may have is worth doing. And then lastly, be on the comments. So kind of similar to Facebook, to LinkedIn, those more social platforms, whereas Quora is more of a, almost more of a search engine. Reddit is definitely sits in the pot of more social. So you may get some comments on the ad. Just make sure you're kind of in there. Don't be too alarmed if there's any kind of, I hate the word banterous comments. Just be sure that you're kind of responding to those and don't take them too to heart. So they are worth doing. So kind of in conclusion then, between the two platforms, both performed better than expected. We've kind of incorporated that now into our marketing mix for this client. Still small spend, because as we say, kind of most of the budget is going towards LinkedIn, it's going towards Facebook, but it's still a nice arm, it's still a nice thing to have those leads come through. But out of the two, if you've just got to pick one, depending on your company, I'd choose Reddit. I think there's just so much more targeting and so much more opportunity there. So thank you very much.